Bene's Bloody Bits.
Okay, this was not planned, but here we are doing volume number 2 or part 2 of Where's the Blu-ray. This is going to be at minimum a monthly series, if possibly twice a month. Wasn't expecting to do this today, but life happens and we had to change our plans. Yep. And so here we are again. Malcolm and I are going to have 5 picks each for Where's the Blu-ray.
I just have to say, I was minding my own business, sitting there, looking on the computer. All of a sudden, the intro started, and here I am.
Yeah, long story short, I had an interview planned with someone. It didn't work out. So here's our impromptu, Where's the Blu-ray? You know,
Where's the Blu-ray?
Either these movies have never been put on Blu-ray or very poor quality ones that need an upgrade. So
yeah,
we have our picks, and I'll start with the movie behind me, which I've actually never seen. Sometimes these picks haven't been available since VHS or Laserdisc, and Demon Warp is kind of this crazy film with, like, I don't know, there's a Sasquatch in it, and there's George Kennedy, there's Michelle Bauer, and I know it's owned by Lionsgate, so it could eventually come out through Vestron unless somebody gets the rights to it. But I would like to see it either way. It looks like my kind of not so guilty pleasure kind of film. Have you ever seen it? Because I haven't.
Yeah, I've seen it actually. I've seen it on your screen.
That's about it.
Yeah. Well, it looks interesting from the pictures on the back of the case. It looks like one of those really cheap movies, you know?
Well, yeah, very cheap. I mean, and that kind of what adds the charm to it. I could see somebody like Vinegar Syndrome or someone putting it out like through
maybe a partner label like Satan's Core.
No Saturn's Core.
Yes.
No, but just the cast alone in the era. I'm sure Michelle Bauer being in it, she's in it probably not very long and takes off her clothes and dies, but that's cool.
Probably.
I mean, that'd be worth it.
Probably walks along, takes her clothes off, falls into a pit of spikes.
And that's it. But yeah, I mean, it's something that I know when you talk to most horror fans and they're like, what's your top 10 films that you'd want on Blu-ray? Demon Warp always comes up. So I'm absolutely want to see it. I'm sure if I just looked on YouTube, somebody's probably uploaded it, but
really bad quality.
I prefer not to watch it for the first time, with that really bad quality of an
so you don't want to try it before you buy it then?
I'll buy it, I'll blind buy it for whatever, $20-$25. If it comes out through Vestron, it'll probably be only like $15, but
that's not bad.
We'll see. But this is definitely the top of my list, and a lot of people seem to enjoy it. So would you buy it?
I would buy it. I'd buy anything if it had a decent, story in it. And this looks like it would have a decent story.
I don't even know why I asked you that question. If it comes out on disc, you will buy it.
Well, the only thing I won't buy on disc is really boring sports DVDs.
Sports?
Yeah, really boring sports. But even then, I watch sports documentaries, so I guess...
You like sports, but just not the boring ones.
Yeah.
All right. So Demon Warp is number 1 for me. Let's see what Malcolm has in store for us today. Boom. Scorned.
Scorned, aka Woman Scorned. Shannon Tweed stars in it with Andrew Stevens and Dan McVitter. Now, Andrew Stevens was also in 2 other movies with her, to my knowledge, which were Night Eyes 3 and Illicit Dreams, which he also directed because he wanted to get some more of that action. And I don't blame him. Get all over her, give her kisses, give her hugs, and get a guy who's young enough to be your son for her to give him a cock ring. But anyway, this film is hilarious. A lot of these films from this time were really funny because I think this came out in 1993, if I remember correctly. And because there was a lot of these type of movies that came out in the early 90s to like the late 90s. It's 1993 because I think Night Eyes 3 was 94. And I think Illicit Dreams was 1993. So that would mean both this and Illicit Dreams were made the same year, or at least released the same year. So what happens is she has a husband. He kills himself, commits suicide because he feels like he's been finished because of this deal. So she decides what any sane woman would do. I'm going to seduce the whole family, get my knickers off, have a fair, including the mother in the relationship. Yeah, including the mother. She's like, oh, I'm going to drug her and get off with her as well. And at this point, you're like, where were you in my life? You need to turn up, drug my wife, get off with me, do what you need to do, right? And then leave, right? Because let's be honest, Shannon Tweed back then, ooh, great little thriller. Not the smartest movie, but most of them weren't. But it was fun, exciting to watch. And as a kid, I will not lie, I did enjoy myself to this movie multiple times.
Well, then, I mean, basically, with films like Fatal Attraction and Body of Evidence, the 1990s was like the direct-to-video market, especially like early to mid-90s. Probably like every week or every other week, you were getting some erotic thriller. I mean, that whole, and ironically, my picks actually, a couple of them hit on the same area as Scorned. We didn't plan it. We didn't talk about our films ahead of time, but
it's funny because the 90s was like the old Kung Fu days. You had thousands of Kung Fu movies coming out in the 70s and 80s. And that's what it was like with the erotic thrillers, with the whole Playboy and all these other places. And to the point that on Channel 5 over in the UK, we would get one of these on every Friday.
Every Friday. For me, it was either VHS or cable networks, Cinemax, Showtime, HBO. They were always showing these films, and it's crazy that Shannon Tweed, who by the way is married to Gene Simmons from Kiss.
We know why.
It's the tongue. So that's Malcolm's first pick is Scorn, some erotic thriller. Okay, so my next one is just like Malcolm's first one.
Oh.
So this is there's Inner Sanctum and there's Inner Sanctum 2. Both are good. This is part 2, directed by Fred Owen Ray.
No.
This one actually even has a little element of horror where there's like this pickled jar monster eyeball thing that's, Standel Bergman, lots of nudity. This was the era of erotic thrillers, which is Blu-ray has really not been tapped into. I wish somebody would just step up and just start putting them out. It's just a wasted opportunity.
I'm just going to cut in here for a second. The Skin Max releases on the DVD. I wish they were Blu-ray instead. The double features.
What studio is doing that right now? It's a newer company, right?
It's Skinflix, which is they were part of another company. I think they're like. Oh, I have no idea. I've got a few of the DVDs, but I don't actually have made. I have 2 of them, so it's not like I've actually fully looked into them.
No, but you're right. I mean, I don't have a problem with DVD, but it kind of would make sense to do. Fine, you want to do a double feature, but do Blu-ray because
the quality
is going to be better because the DVD just won't go right.
The other thing as well is some of those releases are actually cut, which is even more annoying. Like Illicit Dreams is cut.
What's the point, right?
Yeah, exactly. The nudity is cut, which is weird considering the nudity is accepted in other versions. You know what I mean? It makes no sense. I'll never understand it.
Do you know it's cut because you've seen the film before, or it says it's cut?
I've seen the film multiple times, but I know because it hasn't been for a while. I know it's been cut because of reading in forums about it. It had like 2 minutes cut out of it.
Are all the movies you've watched so far been cut? I mean, it makes no sense to
Just that one in that one DVD, but all the others are uncut.
But once you set that precedence, then you have to worry which ones are going to be cut in the future. Why am I going to buy these movies? 1, DVD, but you could live with it. But 2, then I'm not buying the
Yeah.
version I saw that I grew up on.
Exactly. It's bad enough that we lose the music in a lot of the stuff we get now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping in these Fred Owen Ray films, I don't know if he owns the rights to them through Retro Media. I know that Retro Media and Makeflix have been putting out a lot of films, not so
Yeah.
much the erotic thrillers, but I think, along with sex comedies, this is the subgenre that really is getting left out in the cold. And so Inner Sanctum too. Bring on Inner Sanctum while you're at it. Do a double feature. Let's see what's next for Malcolm in the Middle here.
Ooh.
Okay, this is a pretty big one.
Barbarian.
Go, sir. It's all you.
I've got to thingy. Yep, I just wanted to check the director quickly while I thought back. Because I know he hasn't done anything big. Zach Cregger, because I wanted to get the name right. This film was surprised me when it came out. It had Bill Skarsgård in it, Georgina Campbell, and it had Justin Long in it. And there's Darth Sidious. There he is. Hello, Darth Sidious.
Malcolm has always enjoying himself.
I'm getting a reputation of being amazing and handsome. This film shocked me because everybody was going on about how great it was when it first came out. And I'm sitting there going, it's going to be a standard horror affair. It's not going to be that great. But I really love the setup at the beginning. The setup at the beginning really mixes it up and makes you think it's going to be something that it isn't. He turns up, he's creepy, he's acting like he's supposed to be there. She becomes friendly with him. And then all of a sudden stuff goes down and you're like, what the hell was that? What the hell's going on? Then you go to Justin Long's character and he's driving down the highway and he's like this flashy boy and he's like me on a Sunday when I'm partying with the fellas. And, he's got gel in his hair, he's partying and he goes, and then it happens. And then that whole mother scene happens. And you just sit there going like this. Right? And then the darkness, and you get into the dark, cramped space. It really goes really well. I really, really was surprised because to me, this felt like an actual horror movie, one we'd been missing out on for years because it doesn't give too much away immediately. It doesn't give away too much in the trailer. But the most horrifying bit for me, and I can't spoil it because I don't want to because it's not been out that long, is the ending. The ending horrified me. It just made me feel so sad. I literally fell off my couch on the floor and started crying because I felt so bad for her.
For me, Barbarian is like a tale of two films. Like when it's just, two characters and something down in the attic and you feel like the whole film is going to stay there in that one spot, which is probably about half of the film. I was like, this is like a terrifying film. It's going to be one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Not so much the Justin Long character, but as soon as it goes to his character, though, then starts over-explaining the evil or the monster or the...
That's a good point.
I was like, damn it. So I try to think back about older films and why they worked. In Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, they don't explain the evil.
Yeah, you don't know why they're doing it. You just know they're there.
Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left. When you think about these films, why did they work? Because they didn't feel the need to give so much exposition and explaining the evil, almost like a sequel or a remake or a prequel. That's where the film lost me. I was like, dang it, just stick to what's working because the whole neighborhood just seemed off. It didn't seem like a normal neighborhood in the house.
Because it was so
everything
quiet.
was working so well that I wanted, it was just like, don't give me so much backstory on.
You're talking about, evil, how it's not explained. When you say it's not explained, I think that's why the first Halloween is perfect. Because all you hear is Dr. Loomis going on about how evil he is and all this, and then him going, yeah, he's the boogeyman, and all this. but it isn't explained. It isn't like over the top. It's not like, why did he kill his sister? Nobody knows. It just happened. You know what I mean? And that's what you think. So I agree with you on that with Barbarian. But I do think all the stuff underground, the stuff with the cage, the stuff where there is no real over explain, as you said, is fantastic. I do think when you get to the neighborhood, it's way too quiet. It's way too bare, and reminded me a little bit of what's that film? The one with the blind guy.
Yeah. Don't Breathe.
Yeah, it reminded me of Don't Breathe when they got outside the house. How it was a little bit too quiet, at the night for the area. So yeah, I like it. I really like it. I would love a Blu-ray or 4K. But I do agree with you. There are issues with it. But I do think the beginning does an incredible setup. And I do think it makes you think it's gone one way where it goes completely another way. And because of that, it keeps you intrigued. But let's be honest, none of them would have made it by the time she got out there because she would have fed them more milk.
So Barbarian is kind of like Prey. It was only available via streaming. There was a demand for Prey. Eventually, Fox put it out on disc. I know that Barbarian is with Paramount. The demand has been there too, but they haven't put it out yet on Blu-ray or 4K. And I don't know if Paramount is totally open to the idea of a boutique label coming in. But I have a feeling if the money talks, possibly Barbarian will get a physical media release. I know that the director has moved on to another project. He's actually been really busy. Barbarian kind of opened the doors for him. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if we ever see.
I really felt like Prey was overrated.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Not because it was a woman and not because if you think about the original Predator, all the technology is not what took down the Predator. It's when Arnold's character was stripped of all that and had to go like old school, right? And in Prey, that's kind of what happens based off of the time that this lady lives in. She had to use her wits, and it wasn't about machine guns and infrared and all this. Obviously now you could have like drones or something, and it'd be an awesome to do a contemporary Predator film with drones and all these things that we have. It kind of would be interesting, but I think
that's what
Prey didn't work for me because I think I've seen so many Predator films and Predator versus Alien and it's actually the problem I have with the new Alien film is I just seen so many of them. It's like, no matter how good Alien Romulus is going to be, it probably will never top Alien or Alien. So it's kind of like, at some point, it's like, I'm just kind of indifferent about it, So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Prey.
The best thing in the Predator has to be the handshake.
Oh,
that's what we need to do. We need to get the handshake on the thing, and then both of it looking at the camera and the handshake like, oh.
That's so macho 80s. Like, remember, because Arnold's like, all you've been doing is pushing pins, man. You've been in the office too long. But
you can tell there's some what's it called, erotica going on there.
Oh, there's some homoerotica. It's the 80s, man. It was what a great film. But anyways, I don't want to get too sidetracked with Prey and Predator. That's another disc conversation. But Barbarian is not a bad film. It might be something I do revisit to see. Just that potential in the first half of the film is so.
It's one of the better films, I think, of the last 5 years, like horror-wise. I think you go in, you're going to definitely enjoy it. You might have some flaws, but you will enjoy it overall.
I mean, there was a huge demand for, Blu-ray. So let's see. We go from Barbarian to...
Oh, Hard Bodies too, eh?
I like Hard Bodies as well. I actually like the second part a little bit more because they go, to a different location. It's not like, in the States, it's got James Cameron, good amount of nudity. I do own the DVD that Anchor Bay put out of Hard Bodies and Hard Bodies 2. But yeah, again, this kind of goes to the whole erotic thriller, sex comedy, 80s, 90s, so many films that need a Blu-ray release. And yeah, I mean, this is late night cable memories right here, and something that I feel like fans really want in the studio.
Yeah.
These boutique labels are like horror, which I'm cool because I love the genre, but really need to take a step back and go, look, eventually that well will run dry. And these movies that we're talking about, they might be getting a second look because they'll eventually need to start going after these films.
Was it Mill Creek that released the first one?
I just know I have in my collection, Anchor Bay did a DVD of the first two films.
But the first one's on Blu-ray, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll have to look into it. I thought I would have been aware of it, but I could be
Because
wrong.
I think it came out with a VHS cover at one point.
Mill Creek with their retro kind of.
Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong. It might be a completely different film, but the cover seems,
Yeah, I'll definitely look into it after we do this video. Yeah, give me a double feature of these two films. I mean, it's again, we're going to like the kind of late night classic films that just don't get made like they used to, and it's an instant day one purchase for me.
Well, let's have a quick rant here, or rant, as they say. We want more nudity, real nudity, the fun kind. We don't want this boring CGI kind. We want the real stuff. We want it to be floating. We want it to be bouncy. We want to be able to feel it. If you want 3D, have the 3D like Haley Atwell in First Avenger, the Captain America, where they bumped out the screen. It's amazing.
Part of I'd say the last 20 years, don't get me wrong, there's sex comedies, but not like there used to be. Not like they used to be. Like, even if we watch direct-to-video stuff, which you think would be easier to show stuff, I'm wondering, is it the actresses don't want to do it like they used to? Like, what's the point? I don't need to do it. So you get
I think it's this whole sex counselor thing on set now. Apparently now, if you have nudity or sex scenes, they have like a sex counselor to help you get through it and understand if you really want to accept it. It's back in the day, women just got their tops off and that because they wanted to be in the movies, and they'd be like, oh, these maracas are going to get me everywhere. And they would, But I think it's the time we live in,
I think a lot of it is from the Me Too movement.
Yeah, I think so too. So
and
let me just say this.
Problem, and I don't have a
Me
problem.
Too movement, get lost. Because we don't want it when it comes to nudity.
Well, I don't have a problem with it in general, but I think it's put filmmakers are probably a little bit hesitant because they're worried that just opens the door to the opportunity of an accusation, which, don't get me wrong, I believe most of the things that these girls say are true, but I think with the filmmakers, they're worried about a lawsuit or getting smeared on social media and in public, so they stay away now.
I think you've got a good point, because I think Me Too has changed a lot in everything nowadays. And I don't think Me Too is a bad thing most of the time, But I think at the end of the day, you have to take responsibility for your own choices, your own actions. If you want to if you get a movie and you take your clothes off, then you take your clothes off, If you're getting, harassed and that's a different situation altogether. And you should be able to be protected. And that's why they have these sex counselors and all that now, because they want them to be protected from, these type of situations. But I do feel that because of, like you said, the Me Too movement, it has stopped a lot of, it's progressed a lot of good things, but also made some of the good things for certain fans taken away.
And I also feel like it depends if it's a low budget movie or something more highbrow, because look at all the nudity that was done in Game of Thrones.
Yes, that was good.
It's Game of Thrones. It's Emmy Award winning. It gets millions and millions of viewers.
HBO,
or something like the latest direct-to-video sex comedy from The Asylum is not in the same held in the same esteem, right? So I think
Asylum, I never heard of them.
Because if you look at cable, they do a lot of all genres, right? It's so it's just a matter of A late night
Ooh, that is
viewing.
one I want to
Adam
see.
and
He's
Eve
recommended
versus
that.
the Cannibal. So yeah, I think it depends on where it's coming from. If it's theatrical released or definitely cable, they tend to go there a lot more than the old direct-to-video market that
I
we're used
think
to.
I think the thing is as well is back in the day they had all those late night eroticas, and I don't mean like the movies. I'm talking about those ones that were made for like show. What's that? What's it called? Showtime. For
Showtime, yeah.
Showtime and HBO, where you could put them on, and they weren't anyone you knew unless you saw other erotica things, and you just put on and enjoyed watching it. I just think it's the time we live in now.
Also, I think it's the advent of technology. There used to be a time where if you wanted to see a movie,
Oh yeah,
you'd have to go, watch it in the theater or rent it or buy a magazine. And now you have your cell phone. Everything is on your cell phone
exactly
5 seconds away, and you can look up images or videos that 30, 40 years ago, that wasn't like that. So that could probably hurt it too.
Well, when I used to wake up in the morning before I met Donna, I used to put my phone on, have a cheeky, and get up, right? Because I could do it. Back then, I had to look for, what's the movie on Movies for Men tonight? And what's going to be good there, So you got a good point. It's definitely true.
Movies for Malcolm. Let's see. We go from Hard Body to, let's see, what is next? Boom.
Boom. Traded Mum.
Talk
Directed
about
by Tia Breda. Yes. Do you know who that is on the cover?
Is that the girl from My Girl?
Yeah.
Anna Chomsky?
Klumpsky, I think her name is.
Klumpsky?
Anna Klumpsky. She's in it with Sissy Spacek. And this is one of those films which, I'm going to be honest, last time I saw this, I was a kid. So it was a very, very long time ago. And it was on cable television. So my memory is a little bit hazy on this one. So what happens in this is Sissy Spacek is a single mum, right? And she's got 3 kids. Anna Klumsky is one of them. And they hate her. They go, because their dad's gone and that. And they're like, no wonder he left or died or whatever, something like that. And they hate her and they want a better mum when she's like the most amazing mum ever because, she's feeding them, taking them to school, got a job, and she's basically everything you'd want in a mum. But these kids aren't happy. They're spoiled little brats, right? So they find this magic thing that takes them to this market where they can get a new mum. When they go to that market, they get these different mums who are really, really weird. So, for instance, when you walk through the market, you can get a ninja mum, a chef mum, a dancing mum, a Charlie Chaplin mum, all sorts of different mums. And they pick them and they go, this is terrible, right? Awful. We hate this. Let's get another one. Oh, God, she's terrible. She's horrible. How can you pass? That's not nice. Right? So
that's the best comment ever. One word, 4 letters.
That's not nice. That's not nice.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. That just was.
And you're laughing. That's not nice.
It was funny.
So
it's not my movie.
What?
It's not my movie.
I wish it was now.
Because you pulled this like direct-to-video. What's the actual title of the film?
It's called Trading Mum.
Trading Mum. Okay.
Yeah. It's actually on YouTube to watch.
Continue about buying new moms at the supermarket.
Okay, so it's not a supermarket. It's a market where basically they walk through it. Like the Asian markets you see on TV kind of thing. It's kind of like that, the way it's set. Anyway, Andre the Giant is in it as a circus performer, and the little one punches him in the nuts at one point. So the whole point of the movie is basically appreciate what you've got. It was a great learning lesson when you were a kid. As an adult, it probably sounds like nonsense. But as a kid, it was an amazing film. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I really felt like it had a great lesson. But sometimes we don't appreciate what we have and we want something better when we've got the best we can have. without noticing it. You know,
What do you remember what year it was that it came out?
I think it was 1994. I think.
Based off the
So when,
picture of her, that looks about the age she was. You know, my
yeah,
girl
I
too.
think my girl was done 1991 or two. I think.
Looks like, according to this artwork, it was released by Fox. I'm not sure if they still own the rights to it, but never even heard of it.
See,
So,
classic, classic, and you've never heard of it.
well, I have now, thanks to you recommending it. So let's see. Okay, you know what? Something I was wrong. I think when I said Inner Sanctum 2 had the pickled monster eyeball, it's actually in Possessed by the Night. And this is
Ooh.
also, I believe it's Shannon Tweed.
It is, yeah.
Another film directed by Fred Owen Ray. But yeah, this is the one where this thing sits on the nightstand, and like when people, it's been years since I've seen it, or the monster kind of makes the people aroused, or it gets aroused when the people are making out in the bed. But this is one of the movies when I worked at Blockbuster Video. I used to work at a location that had the district office was next door. I literally can walk out the door right next door. And what happened is all the studios would send them screeners, like the kind, if you remember on VHS, where you open the gatefold.
Yeah.
And in front, inside was a picture of some stuff from the film. It was like trying to sell the people to order as many copies as they could. This is who's in it. If you'd like, here's some, you can buy the window, the standee for the film.
Yeah.
But I would go over there and they didn't even care. I would just go to the shelf and be like, okay, I'm going to take these 20 films. Okay.
Wow.
I would take them home. I wouldn't have to return them. What would happen is at the bottom of the copy, like every 10 minutes, it would scroll by 1-800 no copies. If you've rented this film, call this number. So they were just trying to make sure that the companies that they were reaching out to weren't like renting them out or selling them. But a lot of these films, like Possessed by the Night, that's how I first saw them, was a screener. So I was really spoiled, and had access to all these films.
That's quite lucky.
Man, I miss those days. I mean, didn't realize how good I had it. Didn't ever think there would be a day that, for the most part, video stores would be done and gone. So
interesting story about this movie. If I want to buy this on DVD over, it costs £38.
Is it available in the UK?
Yeah, it's available in the UK for £38 because it's a rare out of print disc.
Is that a
so
Blu-ray?
Basic as well? Not Blu-ray, just DVD.
Yeah, and again, like Inner Sanctum 2, I believe this is I don't know, Fred Owen Ray. Just because he directed it doesn't mean he has the rights to it. But I would like to think that he's got access to it, owns the rights to it, or knows how you can track it down. I just don't know if these labels are reaching out and being like, "We want this."
Have you seen the sequel, Possessed by the Day?
Are you being serious? Because I didn't realize there was a sequel. You're just messing around, aren't you? Yeah. You thought I was going to fall for that shit. I don't think so. No, because I would have seen it if it was available. But yeah, again, our picks are very similar in a lot of instances here. There's a lot of 90s straight to video. Possessed by the Night. Probably haven't seen it in 25 years, maybe 30 years.
I've got to say one thing to that. Pass.
Yeah. No, pass would be for your last pick.
It's going to be past from the next pick as well, probably.
Oh, we'll see. Oh, yeah, because it probably looks worse than the last one you did. You're genius.
Okay, this is Disney, so you know it's a classic. So Rod Daniel directed this, and he did Teen Wolf, Home Alone 3. What's the other ones? K9, Beethoven II, The Super, Like Father, Like Son, and Alley Cat Strike. So he did quite a few good movies.
I like the fact that the artwork looks like Real Genius with Val Kilmer.
Yeah, it does actually.
with the genius and with the atom.
I think it was a little bit of a homage to it, to be honest. The picture. So
Almost like
basically, just
like a prequel.
well, maybe set in the future. So the movie is basically about Charlie Ball. I had to get the name right there because I typed it down because we rushed on, didn't we? So I had to get the thing down. Anyway, this is a film that I haven't seen since Disney Channel years ago, right? It's never been released on DVD, never been released on Blu-ray, never been released ever. It's only ever been a Disney Channel movie. This movie blew my mind when I was younger. So Charlie Ball is this genius, he's smart, he works in the school as basically with his teacher friend trying to figure out how to, destroy ice and all this other stuff. And one day he's walking and he sees this girl. And this girl steals his heart. So he goes, she ain't never going to like me. So I'm going to become the cool kid. Yes. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Doing it again.
That's the old comment. I just thought I'd
Not nice. So basically, he tries to be the cool kid, and she starts to like him, and everybody else in the school likes him. And he figures out that he needs to just keep staying cool. So basically, he gets more lazy on his, on his education, all this stuff. But there's a lot of funny bits, like he makes a skeleton move in the classroom and stuff. And yeah, it probably sounds really tedious now and boring to people. But when I was a kid, it was amazing, it was fun. And I could relate to Charlie Ball because as a kid, I wanted to be cooler. I wanted to be more fun. I wanted to get with the cute girl in school, even if I was like 8 years old at the time. But which makes this film really old now, when you think about it. So in the end, he basically realizes that, like we all do, sometimes you've got to accept yourself and be who you want to be and who you are. And does she love him in the end? Does she like him in the end? Because, let's be honest, it's like a 12, 13-year-old kid. Is she really going to be in love with him for more than 10 minutes? So, but it's one of those films I'd love to own on Blu-ray.
It looks like the kind of film, if it came out on VHS, it would be in one of those big clamshell cases.
Yes.
Remember the Disney section had all the clamshells, the big box, and...
Well, see, what you don't know is in England, we always had the clamshell.
For all the films?
For every film, we had clamshells.
Okay, so it wasn't like, I think it was a little bit more select titles over in the States.
Yeah, in the States, it was more things like Disney select things. Sometimes you had other ones like that, and normally they were more pricey in the States because they were classified as more collector's edition versions. Because I always thought to myself that the whole VHS in America was terrible. Those cardboard cases, like, how are they supposed to stay mint?
Yeah, I mean, looking back at those things, I mean, VHS in general took up a lot of space, but especially clamshell.
Yeah.
I mean, when you watch videos where people go check out like, used video stores and you see all the clamshells, right? I think everybody got rid of them. They just kind of unloaded them and just didn't want to deal with them anymore.
Well, I think the problem is, I think like 4 DVDs, standard DVD cases were like the size of one VHS.
Yeah, exactly. It's like getting smaller and more condensed. So this definitely looks like it could have been an ABC movie of the week for Disney Channel. The Disney Channel used to be on regular TV. So I've never heard of it.
Classic.
Genius. So let's look at what's next for me.
Ooh.
Okay. I believe this is the third film I picked out that's Fred Olen Ray. Late 80s. The hilarious Eddie Deason on the cover, which everybody remembers from 1941 and War Games and what's it, Voyage of the Rock Aliens? I believe he's in that too. Never been on disc. At least no DVD, no Blu-ray. It's owned by Lionsgate, so it could come out through Vestron, but I really feel like if they had planned on releasing it, we see it.
Yeah.
Michelle Bauer, Deborah Lamb, who was also in Invisible Maniac. Comedy horror film that
But this one of those films that you would think would be released by, like television or something at some point, because it's got, it's got partner label / whatever, like Culture Shock, television, whoever, all over it with the way it is and the cast and everything.
I mean, perhaps it's still, if it's Lionsgate, which I believe it is, they still are not totally open about people coming in and acquiring their films. But it's like, well, what's the point if they're just going to sit there and not be put out? You might as well make some money off it and get the movie out to people. But you can watch the trailer for this. I know it's on YouTube. It kind of puts in perspective that it's a comedy film first, little bit of horror, obviously with vampires, but lots of skin. It's a good skin flick, and
I'd pick it up.
I think it's something that people either have never seen or never heard of. Kind of like the last video with my pick, Nightlife. I feel like it's a cult classic in the making, but just people don't have access to it and they don't know what it is. But if they got put out with a nice, spiffy slip cover and that artwork works right there. I mean, it sells the film. Eddie Deason front and center, a lovely vampire going for his neck. And I don't want to spoil too much for the film, but there's like one part of the film where the girl's kind of like rubbing up against him. And she's like, "Ooh, do you have a steak in your pocket, or are you happy to see me?" And he goes, "It's a steak." And he pulls out a steak, and it just, the way he delivers it, he was always really good with his comedic timing.
Yeah.
I
he
really
looks, in that picture, he looks a bit like Harold Lloyd in that picture.
Yeah, he just, one of those guys you would watch. I don't think I even remembered his name when I was a kid, but you knew when he showed up, it was going to be funny, the time that he was on screen. And, this is one of the few roles that he got that he's like, he's the movie, he's in so much of it. And I believe Britt Eklund is also in this. So it's just a lot of the films that Fred was making. I feel like this was his, the best films he made were the 80s to early mid 90s.
That makes sense because they were the best films of the time anyway.
Yeah, him and Jim Wynorski. This is, and even like Rick Sloan and Richard Gabai. This was the era of video stores need product. We need to make films that are either horror or have, comedies with nudity. And they knew this is where, the product was then to make it. And Beverly Hills Vamp. I would buy that in an instant.
What kind of, okay, so if that was this is a standard cover, would you want a animation kind of slip cover, where it's kind of like drawn, and what would you want on it?
I don't know. You might even be able to do lenticular, which is not done a lot of, but I'm a big fan of lenticular artwork. Let me see. I might have. What's interesting about this artwork is it kind of inverts the front to the back. But in the thumbnail I made for this, it's kind of like the image on the right with the girl in the coffin and, Eddie hanging above her. But you know what? Slipcover, no slipcover. I would just like to have it on disc. I'm assuming
I've heard of it. But I don't think it was ever released over here.
No, it's one of those 35-year-old films, maybe more, getting close to 40, really. I mean, we're in 2024. This movie was probably, I don't know, 87, 88, somewhere there. So this,
it's old.
It is old. Let's see how old your next pick is, which I believe is your last pick.
Yes.
That was my last pick. Jim Cotta. The movie that I could have sworn it was going to be part of the halfway to Black Friday sale from Vinegar Syndrome.
I was the one who gave you that idea.
Well, the teaser banner had the ninjas and the shrunkins, and I was like, it's got to be Jim Cotta. It ended up being the instructor.
Did you say shrunkins? It's shrookins.
Shrookins. Okay, shrookins.
Shrunkins.
I know you. Okay, my sensei, you are the expert on Asian cinema. We will, whatever you
Shrunkens.
say is
I
what
like
it is.
Shrunkens. I like that. So Jim Carter was directed by Robert Klaus, who did China O'Brien, China O'Brien 2, Golden Needles, Game of Death, Enter the Dragon, The Big Brawl, and so many others. But I feel like he was one of those guys that was like, you know what, I will make this fantastic martial arts action movie. And the closest he got to that, for me, wasn't Enter the Dragon. It was Jim Carter. Because Jim Carter's amazing. So Kurt Thomas is in this movie playing John Calvert, a gymnast, who, for some reason, the government go, we don't need somebody with espionage training. We don't need a James Bond. We need a gymnast, right? To go undercover. To go undercover. We need him to go undercover, and we need him to beat them with gymnast moves. So as you see on the poster, all these different things pop up. He can do his moves on. Anyway, so he goes undercover, and it's this tournament where Richard Norton wants to marry the king's daughter, and the king's daughter hates him, but she's in love with John Calvert. John Calvert gets her blood flowing. He gets those lower lips tingling, and he keeps he starts doing upside down, like handstand, walking down the stairs. That blows her mind, and you're like, don't take much, does it? So it's got Tadashi Yamashita in it, who was in the Octagon. He was the Black Star Ninja in American Ninja, and he was in quite a few other stuff. Oh, Robert Klaus also directed the pilot, I believe, for The Master. The Ninja series with Lee Van Cleef. So this film has Conan Lee in it, who is a Hong Kong actor, who was known for Ninja and the Dragon's Den. He was also known for Tiger on the Beat and Tiger on the Beat 2 and some other movies. Now, he wasn't the lead in Ninja and the Dragon's Den, but he was in it as one of the side characters. Anyway, so the most amazing thing about this movie is the Village of the Damned. Right? I kid you not, there's a guy that has like this mask face on, and he turns around and he's butt naked. You see his bare bum, right? And he goes, ooh, right? And another guy goes to attack, right? Kurt Thomas's character, right? I'm just going to call him Kurt Thomas now, right? Boom, and he gets his hand stuck and he cuts it off. He goes, ooh, it's amazing, right? So when I first saw this movie, as you can see, it looks like there's ninjas, right, on the cover. They're not ninjas. They're basically these foreign guards. They're sent because this tournament, you have to win it, but you can die at any time. So one of the reasons he goes there, Kurt Thomas, John Calvert, because I keep mixing it up for you, is because his dad was killed there. But what happens? He's like, oh, and he's almost dead. And all of a sudden, he sees his dad. His dad helps him up, right? And he goes, son, because he gets shot with an arrow right in the back. And you're like, oh, no. The movie's so tense. It's so vibrant. It's one of those movies where if Vinegar Syndrome released it, it would have sold out within an hour. It's just a phenomenal movie.
They could do a 5,000 run and it would sell out, or 8,000, because it's, I really feel like it'll probably eventually, I noticed that the artwork says MGM. Yeah. They're very open to like licensing their films. I feel like Vinegar Syndrome doing so many action films, whether it's part of the, their 4K line or even VSA, I think it's going to come eventually, sooner than later, but only in the 80s would they even think of having a gymnast. From what I remember, and it's been very long, isn't there like a scene where he's in an alley and there's like a high bar? And he jumps in a high bar
and swings and starts kicking the crap out of these.
It would be in an alley makes no sense, right? But who cares? Yeah. This is the 80s. This is what we do in the 80s, right? Like, and there's a high bar. which
It's
that needs
just
to be in a
incredible.
gymnasium. And he spins and does this thing. It's
Yeah.
almost like over the top with Sylvester Stallone. Why would you have a movie about truckers who do arm wrestling? But it
Yeah.
worked. And that the 80s rolled the dice and just made these kind of absurd films that people find endearing because they're like, nobody would think to do that today because of it's, so preposterous.
I think the thing is what people remember as well is a lot of classic stuff is now released. I mean, nobody thought Golden Needles would be released with what's his name? The guy in Black Belt Jones, and he was in Enter the Dragon. Jim Kelly, right? He was in that, and I don't think anyone thought it was going to be released, and Kino released that. So, this should have been released instead of that Instructor movie. But
Yeah,
I do think this is a Vinegar Syndrome release in the future because it has to be. It's a classic.
I see it being a VSU more than a VSA. This is a big enough title that would sell however many copies they make. It'll sell.
It will. It'll sell out. At least I think it'll be the quickest selling title.
Yeah, I think it's something I really thought it was coming in their big sale that just happened. I think eventually it will be, right up there with, their War Games and Cloak and Dagger and those other, Beastmaster balls to the walls, 4K, booklet, fancy book. I see it happening.
Next to Sidekicks.
So I want to recap for everybody who showed up late. Malcolm and I are picking our next 5 films we'd love to see on Blu-ray. So my 5 this time around were, let's see, Demon Warp, Inner Sanctum 2, Hard Bodies 2, Possessed by the Night, and Beverly Hills Vamp. And then Malcolm did Scorned, Barbarian. What's this one called again? It's called people.
Hey, whatever it says on there right now. Trading Mum.
With Anna Chlumsky.
Trading Mum.
And then Genius and Jim Cotta. So yeah, that's our picks. I'll leave that up for now. This was kind of an impromptu. It wasn't planned. I had something happen in my original schedule for the day, but it's okay. Malcolm was nice enough to jump in here, and I would have preferred to promote this days in advance because people have lives, but I rarely ask for this, but might be the opportunity, not just to like the channel, comment, share, but hit the notification bell. Maybe you're at work on a break, or, you could just throw it on, or the video is not going anywhere. You can watch it whenever you want, but I'm trying to make Monday at this time normal. Yeah. Whether it's Where's the Blu-ray, Cinematic Fart Blower Theater, where Malcolm and I just kind of make fun of bad films. Next Monday, I kind of want to jump in front of everybody else. Severin's big summer sale is in the middle of July.
Yeah.
So we're coming up about a month, and I really want to do a preview before we get to it, because at some point, Severin is going to close their website, and you're not going to really be able to look at stuff. But we know, because they put in a teaser banner with 10 empty chairs in a movie theater, they're going to put out 10 films. 5 will probably be fairly big that people want. The other 5 probably not so much. But Malcolm and I are not just going to give our recommendations, but we're going to give our predictions. Yeah. And some of these predictions I feel like will be correct on a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because there've been Severin's an open book about a lot of their films they have the rights to, because they'll take them to film festivals 6 months, a year in advance of them coming out on disc.
Yeah, but
so we have a little bit of proof what's coming. Now, it might be their summer sale. It might be their sale in November, which is their Black Friday. Now, their sales in the middle of the year used to be closer to like halfway to Black Friday, but they didn't want to compete with Vinegar Syndrome's big
Yeah.
sale. So they kind of moved it a month later and kind of calling it their big summer sale. But
Yeah.
Malcolm and I are going to be live next Monday, 2:00 Pacific time in the United States. And I already got it ready. I already got the banners ready for some of the movies I feel like they're going to put out. And I'm excited because I feel like it's a good time for people to look and see what they have and go, oh, it's probably going to be discounted if you waited on it.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm
but
looking forward to recommending some titles as well.
well, what they usually do is it's 10 titles. They like to, the 10 days leading up to the sale on social media, they will drop a title a day, starting with the least, popular or that, it's not going to sell as
Yeah.
well, leading right up to the biggest one. And I don't want to say too much because I really want to save it for our video. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I feel like based off some of the banners that I've seen, and a particular ad that dropped in a very popular horror magazine, I'm like, ooh, there's some good ones
Yes.
in there.
I'm going to say this. I personally am looking forward to seeing what the enamel pins might be.
I'm not a big accessory plushy guy just because I feel like it just adds money to the bill that
Well, I
I
don't
could be,
buy them. I just like seeing them.
oh yeah, I like seeing them too. And then I'm like scroll past it and go swipe, swipe because
Yeah.
but there are a few people in here that, I want to open the opportunity. What are some movies you want on Blu-ray? If you have any titles, throw it out there. Can give us something to talk about. I know Darth Sidious is probably still here. I believe there's somebody else in here too. But
Yeah,
yeah,
let us know.
throw some titles out there. But yeah, I think I'm not big on the plushies and all that stuff because especially with the Severance prices, in particular on
Oh
4Ks.
God. The problem
Man,
is, this year being 10 titles and probably with multiple shirts now, it's going to be well over $500 like it was last time. I can't buy that. That's ridiculous.
yeah, I'll leave some of the video for me will be a little bit pro and con. Just not just the movies, but the pricing, the taxes, the shipping and handling. It's not bashing them, but I am a collector and
Same
like
fact.
I like being transparent. I don't think that we should all worship at the altar of these boutique labels because at the end of the day, they just want to make money.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's a business. It's commerce.
Well,
It's why
when I saw their snow globe, once they took it out the thing, they were like $20 for. I was like, you're joking.
did you think it was too cheap? I heard it was big and heavy. So what did you think of it?
Well, it looks really small, so if it's heavier, I guess, that's different. But I won't go out my way to buy from them for the simple reason that they go, if you don't pay the ridiculous shipping charges, it's not their problem if it breaks.
I mean, of all the things they put out, that one I was tempted. I'm not a big snow globe guy, but it
That was the Cemetery Man one, wasn't it?
yeah, it was for the Indigo Cemetery Man.
Yeah.
And it fits like that literally what it is, that's what it is,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the film.
Yeah.
And it definitely connected and it looked like it wasn't cheaply made. It looked like it was quality and there was money put into it. But I was like, I told myself, once that ooh ah moment goes away when I first get it, it's just I'm not with it. It's not, it's just a decoration. And I'm just, now that I've gotten older, I try to focus my money on what matters the most, which is the films. Okay, Dar said, I'd like to see Saltburn on Blu-ray. Believe it was on Amazon Prime. Either of you have seen it? No, but it's been on my radar. Same with what's it? Poor Things.
Yeah.
The one with got her name, but it got a lot of Oscar wins. But it was supposed to be pretty great. Actually, I'm glad that Dark brought this up. The next video we're going to do that's Where's the Blu-ray? All my picks are going to be streaming only.
Oh, nice.
You don't have to go that route, but if you want to look into it.
Yeah, let's do that because that would be a great thing to go on, actually.
Well, because I know that even before Mike Flanagan made the statement, I was thinking about doing streaming films. But Mike Flanagan, basically, who's worked hand in hand with Netflix on, some of his movies. Hush for a while was a Netflix exclusive. He's produced some television.
Now,
he basically said, what was his exact words? They're openly hostile toward physical media because they only care about subscriptions and how many hours of videos are being watched. But rarely there's like a Stranger Things. I don't know if it's a contract with the studio, will slip out on Blu-ray, but most of their original series and movies never get a disc release. So,
well, you know what I found? I've had a lot of Amazon exclusives end up on Blu-ray in Germany because I've got a lot of them.
Netflix, Hulu. With Netflix, because I saved them to my queue, to my wish list, just to watch them again. I know they're never going to come out on Blu-ray, just because.
Yeah.
I think that I understand the philosophy of, well, we want them to sub and watch. So if we sell it, what's the point? I think they need to reconfigure that and go, look, let's do a 1 year grace period. 1 year only, you can stream it. Because after 1 year, most people watch whatever it is, whatever big new film. Like I think Jennifer Lopez just did a big sci-fi AI film. Give it a year. Let it run exclusively streaming. And then you could put the cherry on top and put it on 4K or Blu-ray and make money on both sides. But I think it goes against their
principles.
Yeah, it goes against to what we need them to subscribe, and we don't want them to be able to watch it. But I think they need to realize is that market's so small for Blu-ray and 4K that it would just be extra money. Those people that watch it on Netflix are probably not going to buy it. So
I think the problem is, I feel like at the minute, we're at a turning point with streaming a little bit because some things are coming out more, but at the same time, more people getting fed up not actually having the releases. So I feel like if these companies want to succeed a little bit more, they need to learn to actually do that. Because I think if you have a grace period for a year and a half, like you were saying, that's enough time for people to watch stuff on the streaming. Because let's be honest, most people don't care about films after they've been out for like 6 months, 7 months, if they're streamer watchers, because they would have streamed them immediately almost.
Actually, what I've noticed was the trend is there's a buzz for about a week, if not two, not just with streaming movies, but even theatrical releases. Then it goes away and they move on to the next thing. So maybe even a 6 months window, but that's a topic we'll do the next Where's the Blu-ray? I'm going to definitely pick 5 streaming films. Just a reminder, we'll be on next Monday to talk about the Severance Summer Sale. And we're going to say our goodbyes. And thank you, Malcolm, for coming on at the last minute. I know it wasn't planned, but thanks for saving my butt, because I'd like to at least get a video up here this week, if not 2. And we'll talk to you.
Always got your back.
Yeah. Thanks, man.